Mention the Kama Sutra today, and a specific image comes to mind. Popular culture branded it a guide dedicated entirely to romantic and sexual intimacy. Open to Chapter 3 of the text, and you hit a wall of dense, practical instruction. The author, Vatsyayana, outlines the Panchaliki, a strict curriculum of 64 specific arts. There are no romantic verses here. Instead, the text presents a rigorous methodology for surviving as a displaced refugee, commanding respect in public assemblies, and outmaneuvering rivals in royal courts. This diagram represents the ancient Indian class system. Birth walled off your occupation and survival options behind inescapable boundaries. The 64 arts allowed for the active manipulation of this status. Mastering disciplines like architecture or music forced a path through those rigid ceilings. These 64 arts functioned as a calculated method for navigating and potentially subverting the constraints of an otherwise static social order. Sutra 17 introduces us to the lowest rung of this social ladder, the common courtesan. She operates on the margins of society, possessing virtually zero inherent political or economic power. But if she internalizes the 64 arts, her classification shifts. The text states that a woman wielding this level of skill and character reaches the rank of Ganika, a title that commands widespread public reference. The results are immediate and highly visible. She earns a sanctioned, reserved seat in citizen assemblies. The ruling kings publicly award her with ceremonial umbrellas and golden vessels. She transitions from an outcast to a standard of excellence. She becomes the instructor, sought after by the very elite who previously looked down on her. For those at the bottom, mastering this curriculum was a mechanism to legally and socially compel the ruling class into granting them respect. Sutra 19 shifts to the opposite end of the spectrum. We are now looking at a princess, or the daughter of a high-ranking minister, someone who starts life with wealth and status. Her battlefield is the Sahasrantapura, the 1,000-woman harem. The ancient royal household was not a place of luxury. It was intensely crowded, highly political, and deeply chaotic. Survival here meant navigating the constant threat of losing political favor to hundreds of equally wealthy, equally ambitious rivals living in the exact same palace. The elite woman deployed the 64 arts, mastering music, strategic charm, and high-level conversation to command her husband's attention, locking out her rivals and directing his influence to her advantage. For the aristocracy, the arts operated as a defensive weapon, designed to maintain a monopoly on domestic power. Sutra 20 addresses the most terrifying possibility for any ancient woman: disaster. She is widowed, her husband goes missing, or she is forced to abandon her homeland entirely. Look at the state of this single node. The text calls this scenario the most terrible hardship. It instantly strips away all external wealth, titles, and social safety nets, leaving an individual completely isolated in foreign territory. Because she has internalized the 64 arts, she carries a portable economy. The text notes that she can earn a comfortable living in foreign lands simply by teaching her skills to others. She generates a new economy from nothing. When titles, money, and protectors are inevitably lost, highly skilled education is the only asset that cannot be stolen. Sutra 21 proved this playbook was not restricted by gender. The exact same curriculum applied to men navigating the broader world. Pairing technical mastery with eloquence and charm allowed a man to bypass standard social friction. According to the text, this combination allowed him to reach past standard societal introductions. He could approach strangers, leverage his knowledge of the arts, and rapidly win their trust and affection. The arts provided a shortcut through layers of social red tape, allowing individuals to accelerate their interpersonal dominance. Vatsyayana concludes this section in Sutra 22 with the concept of saubhagya, a deep, lasting good fortune. He argues that even if you never face a political crisis, and even if you are never forced into exile, the mere acquisition of these disciplines generates deep personal grace. The modern world remains entirely unpredictable. Bank accounts freeze, job titles evaporate, and relationships vanish without warning. The authors of the Kama Sutra recognized this existential vulnerability thousands of years ago, mapping out a strategy to survive it. The text suggests while birth and status provide a starting point, it is the active mastery of these 64 arts that secures an individual's influence and safety.